Okay, Payal, just wait for another 5 minutes, okay? Then we will start. Yeah, good evening. Okay, so good evening to Payal. So we are starting with today's class, and today we are going through the second chapter of your class 11 syllabus, and that is biological classification. So in the previous class, you all have studied about the living world, and you all come to know about the basic features of the living organism, and also you talked about the binomial nomenclature, I think. So today we are going to start with the biological classification. Now first the question comes that why this biological classification is actually needed. That is the first question, means why we are going for this particular biological classification. So the answer is, in case of our world, we are having millions of living species. And it's actually very difficult to study each of them because it's not possible for us. But if it is possible to group them according to their characteristic features, and suppose we are having 50 groups like that, and under these 50 groups we are having all the millions of organisms categorized, then it is actually much more easy. Then we are just going to study about the 50 groups, and we are basically come to know about the characteristic features of all the living organisms in the earth. So this is actually the need of classification, so that we can actually compactize the study. That is the very important thing. Whenever we are doing something, we always to do it in a compact way. So classification is also, we are studying all the organisms, and then we are going to study the features, and finally we are grouping them according to their characteristic feature. And this grouping is not only helping in the study process, this grouping is also helping in case of this in case to that particular going to find out the evolutionary relationship. So what is the basic evolutionary relationship between all these 50 groups, suppose if we are having, then we can find out the evolutionary relationship also among different groups. Right? Another thing is also there, that we are saying that million of organism is present in case of our world, but we actually can't visualize them. It is not possible to view all these millions of species which are available in all over the world. But still, when we are studying the grouping process or the classification process, we are actually coming to know the names, that yes, this species are also included under this particular group. So these are the need for classification. This is why scientists grouping all the organisms in a particular way. This particular practice has been started from the scientist whose name I can't say him as a scientist. He was actually a philosophist, and he was an ancient Greek philosophist, and he was Aristotle. Everyone know his name. So Aristotle was actually grouped the animals into two divisions. And what are the divisions? Simply the animals which are living in land and the animals which are living in water. But obviously you can find out that this is not enough, because in land we are having again millions of species, in water also we are having millions of species. So this is not the perfect way for grouping. So now after this particular uh, characterization which is going on with the help of this particular man, then finally we are going for the classification system. So later on different scientists came, and they actually deduce different systems for this particular grouping purpose or classification purpose. So the first type of classification system we are having, that is known as artificial system. This artificial system is typically based on morphological features. Now, what is morphological feature? Can you tell me, Payal, what is morphological feature? You can unmute also yourself and you can tell, because nobody else is here. So you can just unmute and you can say that what is the artificial system of classification. Means what is this morphological feature? It's written over here that artificial system is based on morphological feature. So what is morphological feature? Can you tell me that? I'll...
No, ma'am.
Okay, so morphology means nothing. Morphology means the observable characters. So whatever observable characters or features we are having, that is basically known as morphology. Fine. So based on morphology means whatever characters we are observing, depending upon that, this artificial system of classification has been built up. And that has been given by the man. His name was Carlos Linnaeus. You all studied this name in the previous class because he was also the father of binomial nomenclature. So other than this particular artificial system, the another two system we are also having, those are phylogenetic system and natural system. So if we are talking about the phylogenetic system, it is basically depending on the evolutionary history that has been given by Hutchinson. What is evolutionary history? In class 12 you are having a chapter which is known as evolution, and when you are going through that particular chapter, you will come to know that evolution is basically saying that whatever millions of species in this world we are having, those are actually came from a common ancestor. So at the point of the generation of life, we are having one particular common ancestor, and from that common ancestor all the species are actually derived. So that is why we are actually similar to each of these species, at least to a particular percent. Suppose if I am saying about chimpanzee and human being, obviously you can find that 96 to 97% similarity is there because we are very close to each other. But if I am talking about cat and human being, obviously we are not as much as similar like the chimpanzee and we. But if I am talking about human and bacteria, then also we are not similar. But one point I can give you which is similar to human and the bacteria itself, that is bacteria is also having DNA as their genetic material. We are also having DNA as our genetic material. So you can say that yes, one point is actually matching. So that means what? In case of each and every species, they are actually similar to each and every other species with some percentage. And that is why we are saying that we are coming from a common ancestor. And this particular system is known as phylogenetic system. So finally, after this, we are having the next one that is known as natural system. So if you are going to the natural system, that is basically based on the features including like embryology, anatomy. So anatomy means anatomy means the internal structure. So morphology means external features and anatomy means internal structure. Other than this, we are also having embryology. So embryology is the development of the embryo. If we are looking towards the development of embryo also, we are finding out that some similarities, some percentage of similarities are there in case of all the species itself. That can be more, that can be less, but obviously some similarities are there. And this particular natural system is known as Bentham and Hooker system. So these are the three particular classification system the scientists has been developed later on. Now after this, we are going to the classification types. So based on this particular classification system, that artificial, natural, and finally the evolutionary one, we are finding out, or the scientists are finding out, firstly that there are two kingdoms. Then they are saying no, there are three kingdoms. Then they are saying no, there are four kingdoms, and finally they are saying that no, there are five kingdoms. So today we are basically learning the five kingdom classification system. In case of five kingdom also, we are having some alteration, or we are having some addition, I should say. So that is a different issue which we will obviously going to study. But normally we are saying that five kingdom classification is the most accepted one. Okay, Payal, this much understood, na? Any problem?
No, ma'am, this is
Okay.
understood
If
by
you
me.
have any problem regarding any concept anywhere, you just ask me. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So after this, now finally we are going to this one. So here we are having finally the two kingdom, the three kingdom, the four kingdom, and the five kingdom classification. So the two kingdom system has been given by Carlos Linnaeus. Three kingdom has been given by Ernst Haeckel. Four kingdom has been given by Copeland, and the five kingdom has given by R.H. Whittaker. Now, in case of basis of classification, you can also observe that 2, 3, 4, 5 types of bases are there. And in case of kingdoms also, you can observe that 2, 3, 4, 5 kingdoms are there. So if we are coming to the first one, that is two kingdom classification, you can find out that the basis of classification over there are nutrition and locomotion. And according to nutrition and locomotion, we are simply dividing the organism into plant and animal. Obviously, plant is having the autotrophic nutrition and no locomotion. In case of animal, they are having heterotrophic nutrition and they have locomotion. So this is how the kingdoms are coming in case of two kingdom. Next, in case of three kingdom, we are having three bases. What are those? Body organization, nutrition, locomotion. And those are plant, animal, protista. So these three kingdoms are there in case of this type of classification. Next, we are having four kingdom classification. Four bases are there. What are those? Cellular complexity, body organization, nutrition, locomotion. And what are the kingdoms we are having? Monera, protista, plantae, and animalia. Finally, we are having five bases in case of this particular classification. Those are evolutionary relationship, cellular complexity, body organization, nutrition, and locomotion. And finally, we are having five groups: Monera, protista, fungi, plantae, and animalia. So this particular five kingdom classification system is the most accepted one. Now, after this, we are going to the next one. And here, basically, we are having the particular basis, whatever we just talked. Like in case of two kingdom, as I said, autotrophic and no locomotion in case of plant, and heterotrophic and locomotion is there in case of animals. Then we are having three kingdom. So in case of three kingdom, what is happening? They are also looking for the cellular structure, and they are finding out that whether the cells are with a definite or a proper nucleus, or it is with a indefinite nucleus. And according to that, they are dividing. So according to that, they are saying protista, plantae, and animalia. So fungi, bacteria, all are kept together in case of protista. Then in case of four kingdom, when we are coming, we are actually doing one thing, that is fungi and algae. We are kept them together in protista. Now it is also not possible because obviously algae is having autotrophic nutrition. It's a type of plant, we know that. In case of fungi, that is belongs to totally a different kingdom. So in case of four kingdom, this is the problem. We kept algae and fungi together under protista. So finally, we are going to the five kingdom, and in the five kingdom, viruses are not there because at that point of time, virus was not discovered. So that is why we can't keep that virus. So this is how the classification is going on: 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now after this, finally, we are having the basic classification, the five kingdom classification: Monera, protista, fungi, plantae, and animalia. So these are the five kingdoms that has given by R.H. Whitaker, and that is the final one. So after this, we are having, now we are going to start with kingdom Monera. So we are going to talk about the kingdom Monera itself. In case of biological classification, we are actually having two classes. So today we are going to complete Monera and protista, and next day we are going to complete the fungi, plantae, and animalia. Fine. So today we are having the kingdom Monera first. So in case of Monera, you should remember that all type of bacteria are actually coming under this particular Monera. Any bacteria, whatever you are talking about, it is under the kingdom Monera. So here I just gave the picture of the different types of bacteria itself. And you should remember that bacteria are prokaryotic. So basically the Monera kingdom is containing all the prokaryotic cell, whatever is present in case of our living world. So finally, after this, we are going to the next one. And here we are having that under Monera, we are having this type of bacteria. We are having U bacteria. U bacteria means that is the normal kind of bacteria. U means the, I should say, the normal one. Okay, so U bacteria is the general one. Then we are having cyanobacteria. Then we are having arachibacteria. And finally, we are having mycoplasma. So these are the divisions we are going to cover in case of Monera itself. Now, after this, finally, we are going to have another microbes also, another prokaryotic cells also. Those are Rickettsia, Chlamydia, and Myxobacteria. So with Arachibacteria, Cyanobacteria, Eubacteria, we are also going to cover Rickettsia, this particular Chlamydia, and Myxobacteria. So now finally after this, we are having the next one. Now here we are just talking about the shapes of the bacteria itself. Now if I'm going to talk about the shape, you all know that bacteria is having some basic shapes. Like first we are having coccus. So that is just the round shaped bacteria, that is known as coccus. Then we are having diplococcus. So diplococcus means obviously two round shape is joined together. That is why we are saying diplococcus. Fine. After that, we are having diplococci encapsulated. So what is the meaning of diplococci encapsulated? You can simply find out over here, two round shaped bacteria are there and they are having a capsule or a cover or an envelope. That is why it is known as diplococci encapsulated. Finally, we are having staphylococci. So what is the meaning of staphylococci? Staphylococci means they are arranged in 3D form. They are arranged in 3D form. Finally, we are having streptococci. So streptococci just means they are in chain-like manner. Simple linear fashion or chain-like manner they are having. Next, we are having Sarcina. Sarcina means basically 8 cocci shapes are there which are together actually. Okay, you can find out 1, 2, 3, 4, and obviously in the opposite side also 4 bacterial cocci are there. Fine. So after this we are having tetrad. So what is the meaning of tetrad? Tetrad means 4. So 4 cocci cells are there together. So this is how the normal shapes are formed in case of bacteria. Fine. So after this, now we are also having some other shapes. So what other shapes we are having over here? So in case of the other shapes, we are having firstly Coccobacillus. So you can find out that it is not totally round or it is not totally the rod. So that is why it is known as Coccobacillus. It's an oval kind of thing. Then finally we are having bacillus, so that is just like the rod kind of thing. Then diplobacillus, so here, or diplobacilli, so it is actually two rod shapes are joined together. Then we are having palisade form, so you can easily find out that here we are having 4 this rod shaped and they are joined longitudinally. Then finally, we are having the another arrangement which is known as streptobacilli. So obviously, whenever the rod-shaped bacteria are joined in a linear fashion or just like a chain, it is known as streptobacilli. Finally, we are having hyphae. So what is the meaning of hyphae? They are having an extension that is known as hyphae. And finally, we are having the stalk. So in the case of stalk, they are having a complete rod-like extension, very thin rod-like extension, and that is known as stalk. So this is how we are designated the shapes. We are also having some other shapes. So we are coming to that, but other than this, we are also having this kind of shapes. Fine. Okay. Acha, Payal, one thing I should tell you that whenever you are sitting for a class, have a pen and a notebook with you so that you can note down the points, whatever you want to note down. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So now after this, we are going to this one. So here we are having the first one, that is enlarged rod. So enlarged rod means fusobacterium. So here we are having the fusobacterium, that is the example of enlarged rod. They are rod, but they are enlarged than the normal one. Then we are having Vibrio. So what is the meaning of Vibrio? Vibrio means comma shaped. You all know Vibrio cholerae, that is a very common bacteria. So Vibrio is actually determining the shape. Finally, we are having the comma shape, which is having a flagella-like extension. A particular extension is there. And the example is Delovibrio. Finally, we are having club rod. So it is just looking like the means rod itself. The extension is just like the rod, and in the upper portion they are having an round, that particular structure, that is known as club rod. And in case of the example, we are having Corynebacterium. Then after this, we are having the next one, that is helical form. So in case of helical form, the example is Helicobacter pylori. Then the next form is known as corkscrew form. So this corkscrew form is just like the screwdriver itself, corkscrew form. And the example over here is Borrelia. Finally, we are having filamentous and spirochete. So these are the different shapes which we are having in case of kingdom Monera. So finally, after this, we are going to the next one. And here we are having the structure of bacteria. So finally, we are going to talk about the structure of bacteria. So in case of structure of bacteria, we are having these three particular points. The first point is cell protecting layers. Then we are having intracellular components. And finally, we are having locomotory structures. So first we are going to cell protecting layers. So in case of cell protecting layers, they are having cell wall, cell membrane, capsule and glycocalyx. Then in case of intracellular components, nucleoid, ribosome, storage granules, plasmids, those are there. Finally, in case of locomotory structure, flagella, cilia and pili. So now we are going through one by one. So first, in case of this particular bacteria, we are coming to the cell wall portion. So if we are going to talk about a cell wall, then obviously we should have the figure, right? So here we are having the first layer, this green one, means this one is actually capsule, the first one. Then the second one, which is having the bottle green color, that is actually the cell wall. Now the question arises that why this capsule, then cell wall, and then finally cell membrane? So capsule, normally in case of bacteria, 99% bacteria are actually the good bacteria. And 1% only is the pathogenic one, or which can create the diseases. Okay, so this particular 99% good bacteria, they are normally not having this capsule, but the bacteria which are pathogenic, which can create disease, they are normally having this particular cell wall. So cell wall is basically made up of some unknown polysaccharides and polypeptides. So they are still not discovered that what kind of nature they are having. So cell wall is, this capsule is actually giving a particular type of protection to the bacteria, because whenever they are entering inside our body, obviously the immune system is getting activated, and that is why the immune system means going to destroy the bacteria itself. Now capsule is giving them the protection. Now in case of capsule, if it is rigid in structure, then it is known as glycocalyx. And if it is not rigid, if it is a jelly-like thing, then it is known as slime layer. Fine. So capsule is differentiated like this. One is slime layer and another one is glycocalyx. Rigid one is
Please repeat slime layer and glycocalyx, please.
হ্যাঁ, রিজিড লেয়ার, রিজিড যদি হয় সেল সরি ক্যাপসিউল, তাহলে সেটা হচ্ছে তোমার গ্লাইকোক্যালিক্স, আর যদি ক্যাপসিউল জেলি লাইক হয় তাহলে সেটা হচ্ছে স্লাইম লেয়ার।
Okay, ma'am.
হ্যাঁ, দুটোই হতে পারে, যে কোনো, মানে it is depending upon the nature of the bacteria, it is depending upon the species of the bacteria. Okay,
Okay.
so after the capsule, the next thing we are having, that is cell wall. Now cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan. That is the component which is present in case of cell wall, that is known as peptidoglycan. Peptidoglycan is made up of two units. What are the units? One is NAG, another one is NAM. I'm writing it. Yes, so it is NAG, NAG, or NAM, NAM. So the full form of NAG is N-acetyl glucosamine, whereas NAMir full form N-acetyl muramic acid, muramic acid, M-U-R-A-M-I-C, muramic acid, আর glucosamine, N-acetyl glucosamine or N-acetyl muramic acid. Now they are present in alternative manner. The NAG-NAM, like that they are going on. And the cell wall is actually, obviously it is making the bacterial cell means it is giving the bacterial cell a proper shape, a proper size itself. And cell wall is present in case of all the bacteria. Finally, after cell wall, we are having the cell membrane. Acha, in case of cell wall, another thing I should say, that in 1884, Christian Gram, so Christian Gram was the scientist, and he was actually discovered a way to stain the bacteria. Now, what is the staining? Staining means coloring, because whenever you are going to observe the bacteria, you obviously need the help of microscope. Now, obviously, in case of microscope, it is having a bright field, right? It is having a bright background. So in that bright background, it is not possible for you to observe this particular bacteria itself if it is not containing any color. So that is why Christian Gram was trying to color this particular bacteria. It is known as staining. So in this particular process, he applied many stains. And finally, he found that what is happening, finally he found that some of the bacteria is having purple color, whereas some of the bacteria is having pink color. Now, he was obviously getting confused because he was applying the same technique for all of the bacteria, same set of chemicals for all of the bacteria. But still, he was having a set which is having purple color, a set which is having pink color. So the purple colored bacteria, he termed them as gram-positive bacteria, whereas the pink colored bacteria, he termed them as gram-negative bacteria. Now, why this particular difference lies? So that is why he go for the structural study. So he did the structural study, and then finally he found that there is difference in case of cell wall structure. Now, what is the difference in case of cell wall structure that we are having over here? In case of gram-positive, the peptidoglycan layer is very thick, whereas in case of gram-negative, it is very thin. Another type of component which is present in case of gram-positive, that is teichoic acid, whereas in case of gram-negative, that is absent. In case of lipopolysaccharide, that is in case of gram-positive, it is virtually none. Whereas in case of gram-negative, it is present. And finally, in case of lipid and lipoprotein content, the gram-positive is having very low content of lipid and lipoprotein, whereas in case of this particular negative one, very high content of lipid and lipoprotein are there. So this is how he find out the structural differences, and that is why he was saying that yes, this is the reason, that is why a set of bacteria is taking this particular gram positive one, means purple color, whereas the other group is taking the pink color. So finally, after this cell wall and capsule, finally we are going to the cell membrane. So cell membrane, you all know that in case of cell membrane, all the cell membrane in case of all the living organism in this world, all are having a basic structure. What is that basic structure? Two layers of protein, and in between the two layers, lipid molecules are there. Fine. So two set of protein layers are there in the periphery, and in between the protein layers, two layer of lipid molecules are there. So that is simply the cell membrane structure in case of all the living organism. Finally, after the cell membrane, what another thing the bacteria is having? Obviously, they are having ribosome. So you know, right? In case of bacteria, they are having 70S ribosome, whereas in case of our body, we are having 80S ribosome. Right, Pai? You
Yes,
know
ma'am.
that?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
So what is 70S? What is S over there? What is the full form of S? Or what is this S actually signifying over here? So S is basically the unit of the ribosome, and it is known as Svedberg unit, SVED, Svedberg unit. So this particular unit is going to give us the sedimentation coefficient of ribosome. Now, what is sedimentation coefficient? In case of ribosome, that we are going to study in the chapter cell. In the cell, we are having the cell organelles in detail. So there we will study that what is Svedberg unit or sedimentation coefficient. But right now, you just know that in case of bacteria, they are having 70S ribosome. The 70S ribosome is actually having two subunits. One is 50S, another one is 30S. And they are basically going to make the proteins. The function of the ribosome is to make the proteins. That much we know. So after this, now after ribosome, what are the other things the bacterial cell is having? Obviously, the first thing they are having, that is nucleoid. So the question arrives that what is nucleoid? So nucleoid is basically the, I should say it is the false nucleus. Now why it is false nucleus? Because in case of eukaryotic nucleus, we are having four distinct parts. We are having nuclear membrane, nucleolus, nucleoplasm, and finally chromatin. But in case of this particular bacteria, they are not having all these distinct features. They are only having a thread-like, coil-like material. And that is why it is known as nucleoid or false nucleus. Other than this, obviously, cytoplasm is there. That is the jelly-like thing. Flagella is there. Flagella is helping in the motility or in the movement. Finally, other than this, pili is there. So pili is mainly helping in a process which is known as conjugation. We are going to study that. So conjugation is a genetic recombination process, which obviously is going to be performed by the bacteria itself, and that is done with the help of the pili. And other than this, one of the most important thing which is present in case of bacteria, that is plasmid, which is actually not shown over here. So the most important thing which is present in case of bacteria, that is plasmid. So what is plasmid? Plasmid is just looking like this, or I should draw it over here. It is just looking like this. Sorry. So plasmid is nothing but the double-stranded, self-replicated, extra chromosomal DNA molecule. So if you have to mention the characteristic feature of plasmid, you have to write all the words. What are the words? Firstly, self-replicatable. Self-replicatable means they can make their own copies. That is the first thing. The second thing is they are double-stranded. Thirdly, they are round. Fourthly, they are made up of DNA. And fifth, they are extra chromosomal. Now, what is the meaning of extra chromosomal? Obviously, they don't have any direct contact with the nucleoid. So nucleoid is a separate DNA material. Nucleoid is also made up of DNA. So nucleoid is a separate DNA material, whereas plasmid is also a separate DNA material. So these are the features in case of this particular plasmid. Finally,
repeat the points.
Extra chromosomal, double-stranded, self-replicated DNA. দেখো লিখেছো?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So after this, now we are going to the next one. So now here we are having the basic idea towards the bacterial motility. So obviously if one flagella is present at one end, we are saying it as monotrichous. If many flagella are present or a group of flagella is present at one end, then it is known as lophotrichous. If singular flagella is present in both the end, then it is known as amphitrichous. And finally, if many flagella are present in all over the periphery, then it is known as peritrichous. So this is how we can define the bacterial motility. So finally, after this, we are going to talk about the next one. So here we are having bacterial nutrition. So in case of bacterial nutrition, they are normally of two types, autotrophic and heterotrophic. Now in case of autotrophic, obviously we are having two types. One is photoautotrophic, another one is chemoautotrophic. So photoautotrophic means nothing. Photoautotrophic means they are having the photosynthetic pigment, and with the help of photosynthetic pigment, they used to do the photosynthesis. And that is happening in case of purple green sulfur bacteria. They are using this particular pigments and they are doing their photosynthesis. In case of chemosynthetic, obviously they are using only the sulfur. They're using some particular inorganic materials as their energy source, normally the sulfur, or it can be the nitrogen. So that is why they are known as chemosynthetic bacteria. Examples you are having over here. Finally, we are having saprophytic. So in case of heterotrophic, obviously they are dependent on other host. So first we are having saprophytic. So what is the meaning of saprophytic? They are going to depend on the dead and decaying material. Finally, we are having the parasitic. So parasitic means they are depending on some other host. So these are the two types of nutrition which is present, mainly the auto and hetero in case of bacterial nutrition. So after this, now we are going to the next one, and here we are having the bacterial respiration. So in case of respiration, either it can be aerobic or it can be anaerobic. So first we are having the aerobic one, where we are having the obligate and the facultative one. Whereas in case of anaerobic one, again we are having two types, obligate and facultative. So first we are going to check with the obligate. Obligate means obviously they need a particular gas. Obviously, if I am saying obligate aerobic, that means they need oxygen. Without oxygen, they can't survive. Obligate anaerobic, that means they don't need oxygen. If oxygen is present, obviously they are going to die. So that is why obligate anaerobic. Then facultative aerobic. Facultative aerobic means oxygen concentration. If oxygen concentration is less, then also they are going to survive. In case of facultative, also the same thing. In case of facultative anaerobic, the same thing. If oxygen is also present in little concentration, then also they are going to survive. That means facultative aerobic and facultative anaerobic are basically the same thing. If you know the example of facultative aerobic, you can simply write the example in case of facultative anaerobic also. Aerobic bacteria, you all know. Normally, all the bacteria, most of the bacteria like streptococci, staphylococci, Vibrio cholerae, all are basically the aerobic bacteria. In case of anaerobic, Clostridium is obligate anaerobic. In presence of oxygen, they can't survive. Okay, and in case of facultative, we are having many of them, like we are having the different species of Pseudomonas we are also having. So you can simply find out in case of this particular facultative one, in case of aerobic and anaerobic both. Then finally, after this, we can go for the bacterial reproduction. Now, in case of bacterial reproduction, asexual, sexual, both are there. Asexual is normally through the budding and binary fission, whereas in case of sexual, it is mainly the genetic recombination, because bacteria te obhabe sexual recombination, sexual reproduction hoy na, je male, female, এলো তারপর reproduction হলো, এরকম কিছু হয় না, normally genetic recombination হয়। তো জেনেটিক রিকম্বিনেশনটা অনেক রকমের হতে পারে। ইট ক্যান বি ট্রান্সফরমেশন, ইট ক্যান বি কনজুগেশন, ইট ক্যান বি ট্রান্সডাকশন। So we are going to study each and every whatever is written over here. So first we are having this one, binary fission. So in case of binary fission, you can simply find it out over here that what is happening, the bacterial cell is first going to divide. That bacterial cell is giving some signal. So what is the signal that bacterial cell is going to divide? So that bacterial cell will increase in length or increase in size. That is the first indication they are giving. Now, why they are increasing in size? Because the nuclear material is going to be doubled. So obviously, if something within my cell is going to be doubled, then obviously I need more space to accommodate that one. And that is why obviously the bacterial cell is going to elongate. Now nuclear material doubles. After this, what is happening? Now again the bacterial cell elongates. After the doubling of the nuclear material, again the bacterial cell elongates. Finally, what is happening? The division of the nuclear material. So finally, whatever amount of nuclear material is present within the bacterial cell, that is going to be divided into equal halves. And this particular process is known as karyokinesis. And after this, finally, what is happening? Invagination or furrow is going to occur in case of the cytoplasm. You can easily find out that over here, this invagination or furrow is appearing. And they are going to the inner side. And finally, after going to the inner side, finally, they are breaking this particular cell into two daughter cells. And this process is known as cytokinesis. So two things are mainly happening over there. So one is karyokinesis, another one is cytokinesis. And this is how the binary fission is actually going on in case of bacteria. So finally, after this, we are having the endospore formation. Just a second. Just 1 minute. So now we are having the endospore formation by bacteria. So finally, we are having the endospore formation by bacteria. And this endospore formation is occurring whenever unfavorable condition is appearing in case of bacteria. So whenever bacteria is facing an unfavorable condition, then obviously the bacteria is going to produce this particular endospores. So now when bacteria is facing this particular appropriate condition, normally they are doing the budding. But whenever inappropriate situation comes, what is happening? Firstly, you can find out over here. Okay, so Okay, so this is the first step. What is happening? A part of a cytoplasm is have a distinct division. The cytoplasm inside the cell, now inside this cell, a part of the cytoplasm is going to be distinctly divided. This is known as pre-spore. So the part of the cytoplasm which is distinctly going to be separated from rest of the cytoplasm, it is known as pre-spore. And the division which is occurring over here, that is known as septum. And obviously the bacterial cell is known as the mother cell. Now after this, what is happening? Now after this, we are going to the next stage, and here the step or the process is known as engulfment. So first we are having the asymmetric cell division. So the cell is dividing asymmetrically. Obviously it is not dividing from the middle. So that is why we can't say that the cell is dividing symmetrically. Obviously the division is asymmetric. After this, we are having the next stage, that is engulfment. So what is happening? That particular pre-spore portion is going to increase its size. So the pre-spore portion is going to increase its size. Finally, after that, what is happening? Finally, after that, this particular pre-spore is going to form some particular layers. What are the layers? The outermost layer is known as cortex, the second layer is known as cell wall, and the third layer is known as cell membrane. So three layers are there: cortex, cell wall, and cell membrane. And finally, what is happening? They are going to make a particular tough wall in the surrounding in the surrounding of this particular I should say the particular spore like structure, that is known as coat. And finally the coat is going to mature, and when the coat is going to mature, it is actually having this particular 6 to 7 layers. So you are observing 3 layers, right? Cortex, cell wall, and cell membrane. Now, in case of this particular coat, when the cortex, cell wall, cell membrane together is going to form the coat is having different layers. And finally, after the maturation of the whole thing, the cell is going to lyse. So finally, after the maturation of the coat, the cell is going to lyse, and then the cell is going to burst up, and then obviously the spore is going to liberate it. And after the liberation, whenever they find the appropriate condition, they use to germinate. So this is how the whole thing is happening in case of this particular sporulation or endospore formation. So finally, after this endospore formation, we are going for the next one. So here we are having the next one, that is the genetic recombination process. Now, if you are looking towards the genetic recombination process, what is happening? This first process is known as transformation. So what is happening over here? The bacterial cell is present. Inside the bacterial cell, the nucleoid is also there, which is known as chromosomal DNA. And the cell has kept in a buffer solution, and into that buffer solution we are also having some DNA fragments. These DNA fragments have obtained from another variety of a same species. That means what? If this cell is of, suppose this cell is of Diplococci pneumoniae. The bacteria is Diplococci pneumoniae over here. Now, the fragments which are present in case of the buffer solution, they should be of this particular Diplococci pneumoniae only, but obviously different variety of Diplococci pneumoniae DNA we are having over here. Not the same type, but the different type. Finally, what is going to happen? Finally, this bacteria will able to take up this foreign DNA segments. Why? Because they belongs to the same species. They belongs to the same species. Both are pneumoniae bacteria, but yes, this is one variety, this is another variety. And that is why the bacteria is having the ability to take up the foreign DNA. And this particular process is known as transformation. So the ability of uptaking the foreign DNA in case of bacterial cells are known as transformation. দেখো পায়েল, ঠিক আছে?
ম্যাডাম ঠিক আছে।
Okay. So now what can be happened after this particular transformation? Either this particular bacterial cell is going to be integrated inside this chromosomal DNA, or it will be degraded. So if it is going to be degraded, then obviously the bacterial cell will again retain as same as they are present in the first, means in the first itself. But if that bacterial part is going to suppose integrated over here, then we can say that yes, this transformation is stable. And if this particular segment is going to be degraded, then obviously we are saying that no, the transformation is not happened. Okay, so this is how the transformation is going on. Yeah. So after this, we are having the next process, which is known as conjugation. So conjugation is very common process, which is normally occurring in case of bacteria. Now in case of bacteria, as we discussed about the plasmid, so plasmid is of various type. And here we are basically going to talk about this particular fertility plasmid. So in case of some bacteria, they are having a special plasmid, which is known as fertility plasmid. The fertility plasmids are obviously help in doing the recombination. So the bacterial cell which are having or which are possessing this particular fertility plasmids, they are known as F plus cells. They are known as F plus cells. F means fertility. So where just a second, I'm going to give the charge. Okay, just a second, just wait. Yeah. Okay, so sorry. Okay. Okay. So now in case of the bacteria where we are having this particular fertility plasmid, we are saying that it is an F plus cell. Whereas in case of the bacteria where we don't have this particular means this particular fertility plasmid, we are saying it as F minus cell. So now what is happening when the F plus and F minus cell are coming in contact with each other, they are forming bridge, this particular bridge, which is known as conjugation bridge. And with the help of the conjugation bridge, what is happening, some part of the fertility plasmid is actually going to transfer into the F minus cell. So now the F minus cell is also having a part of this particular fertility plasmid, and that is why it is known as F plus cell. Fine. Now the part which is going to transfer from the F plus to F minus, that is known as transferosome. So the part which is actually transferred from the fertility plasmid to F plus to F minus, that is known as transferosome. So now obviously the F minus cell is also become F plus. That is the main motto of conjugation, that the bacteria wants to transform the F minus cells to the F plus cells. So that is happening in case of this particular conjugation. So finally, after this conjugation, now we are going to the next one, and here we are having the transduction. So this is the last process in case of bacteria for doing this particular genetic recombination. Now what is happening over here, in case of some of the bacteria, the viruses can infect the bacteria. Some of the viruses are there which can infect the bacteria, and the name of such bacteria, the name of the such virus is actually known as bacteriophage. So this particular type of viruses are basically known as bacteriophage. Now what is happening? First, this bacteriophage is going to attach themselves with the bacterial cell. You can find out over here easily that they are first going to attach themselves with the bacterial cell. And after that, they are simply transferring their genetic material. This is the genetic material inside the bacterial cell. So whenever the genetic material of the virus is actually transferred inside the bacterial cell, what is happening? Now this particular bacterial chromosome is going to be degraded, because obviously it is not possible for a cell to maintain two DNAs. Because you all know that in case of this cell is normally taking the instruction from the DNA that what to do and what to not. So obviously it is not possible for a cell to maintain the identity of the two DNA molecules. And that is why whenever the viral DNA enters, the bacterial DNA is going to be degraded. Now after this, what is happening? Whenever only viral DNA is present, now this particular viral cell or viral DNA is going to take up the control of the viral DNA itself, of the particular of whole of the cell. And finally, they are making all the particular parts of the bacteriophage. Okay, and then finally they are assembling all the parts and they're making the new phage particles, and finally the cell is going to be bursted up and they are going to be released out from the cell itself. So this is how the whole transduction process is going on in case of bacteria. So this is how the normal transduction process. This part itself, this part is known as generalized transduction process, because this is for the reproduction purpose of the bacteriophage. So the bacteriophage is taking control of this particular bacterial cell and they are making their own particles and finally they are releasing it. So this is the generalized transduction. Now we are going to the specialized transduction. So this is the part of specialized transduction. What is happening over here? The bacterial, the first step is written same. So this first step remains same over here. So what is happening? This bacteriophage is going to attach themselves with the bacterial cell, and finally they are going to deliver their DNA material inside. So after delivering this viral DNA material, this viral DNA material or a part of the DNA material is going to attach themselves or going to integrate themselves inside the bacterial chromosome. Now you can ask, ma'am, what is the need of this? Why the virus is doing this, or why the bacteria is integrating a part of viral DNA inside the bacterial chromosome? So it is actually giving us an idea that some of the bacteria is actually having the viral DNA material with them. So maybe after 2000, 3000, 4000 years later, maybe the bacteria is having some of the characteristic features of the virus itself. The virus characteristics, we all know that they are acellular. Whenever they are going to be entered inside the host cell, then only they are going to show us their existence. So maybe this thing can be happened over here also in case of bacteria also. Bacteria is a unicellular thing. We can detect bacteria very easily, but this may be not happening after 1000, 2000, 3000 years. Maybe bacteria will evolve themselves like virus itself. So there is a possibility, there is a chance. Now lytic cycle is occurring very frequently, like if 100, 200 lytic cycles are going on, then within this 100, 200 lytic cycles, only one lysogenic cycle is occurring. So you can understand that how means especially it is actually happening in case of this recombination process. Fine. So now after this, আচ্ছা দেখো পাইলে অবধি ঠিক আছে?
হ্যাঁ ম্যাডাম ঠিক আছে, বুঝতে পেরেছি।
So now we are having some useful activities of bacteria. So in case of useful activities, we can say that obviously like ammonification, nitrification, nitrogen fixation, dairy product formulation, industrial product formulation, industrial product এর মধ্যে citric acid, acetic acid, এগুলো তো আছেই, then oil cleaning process. These are the useful processes, whereas in case of harmful, obviously disease, denitrification, food poisoning, water pollution. So these are the basic activities, useful and harmful in case of bacteria. Okay, so then we are having this one, that is actinomycetes, the filamentous bacteria. So main feature of this filamentous bacteria is they are always gram positive. They may be aquatic or terrestrial, and normally they used to reproduce by the spores. Okay, so normally they used to reproduce through spores, and those spores are actually known as arthrospores. Okay, so this much is enough for this filamentous bacteria. They are also helping in case of this particular fertility increase. Okay, so they are also increase the fertility in case of this particular soil itself. Okay, so after this, now we are going to the next one, and here we are having the cyanobacteria. So cyanobacteria is previously known as blue-green algae, but nowadays they are known as cyanobacteria itself. So in case of cyanobacteria, you can find out that instead of that particular slime layer or that particular glycocalyx, we are saying that they are having slime coat first. So first they are having slime coat. So they are having another envelope before the glycocalyx or the slime layer. So they are first having the slime coat, which is made up of mucilage. So mucilage is a substance which is making this slime coat. Then after that, capsule is present. Then after that capsule, another sheath is present, which is known as mucoid sheath. Then finally, we are having the outer membrane. Then we are having the cell wall, and then we are having the inner membrane. So you can write it down that first we are having slime coat, then we are having capsule, then we are having mucoid sheath, then we are having outer membrane, then cell wall, and finally we are having the inner membrane. So these are the layers which are present in case of cyanobacteria. Now in case of cyanobacteria, the features are just like the eubacteria itself, but one thing you can say that obviously photosynthetic pigments are there. which are helping to do the photosynthesis. And obviously vacuoles are there, which are helping to maintain the buoyancy, because they can go into the upper layer of the water or deeper layer of the water. So they can provide, means these vacuoles are providing them buoyancy. Other than that, rest of the parts are just same as the eubacteria itself. Okay, so this is the blue green algae or the cyanobacteria. So finally, after this, we are having the next one, that is Arachibacteria. So Arachibacteria is the oldest bacteria. Means from Arachibacteria, obviously this eubacteria, cyanobacteria, these are evolved. So what in case of this particular Arachibacteria? So in case of Arachibacteria, they are actually having toughest cell wall. Why they are having toughest cell wall? Because in case of normal bacteria, they are having peptidoglycan layer, as we discussed, and this particular peptidoglycan layers are actually have the normal linear chain-like structure. So they are having the normal linear chain-like structure. But in case of this particular Arachibacteria, they are actually having the branched chain configuration. Okay, so they are having branched chain configuration. Branches are there in case of the cell wall. But in case of this particular normal bacteria, they are having the linear fashion of peptidoglycans itself. So Arachibacteria is basically of three types: methanogen, halophile, and thermoacidophile. So methanogens are the bacteria which can produce the methane gas. Halophiles, they can actually withstand alkaline and acidic conditions. And finally, we are having thermophiles, which can withstand extreme temperatures. So these are the divisions in case of Arachibacteria: methanogens, halophiles, and thermoacidophiles. So finally, then we can go for the other types. So first we are having this one. This one is of particular chlamydia. So chlamydia, the speciality of chlamydia is they are having both DNA and RNA. And in case of reproduction, they normally go for binary fission, and they used to do the infection in case of eyes. Those are known as trachoma or chlamydial ophthalmia, those. Okay, so these are the characteristic features in case of this particular chlamydia one. So after, this is the life cycle of the chlamydia, which we are having over here. So what is happening? First, we are having this particular cell. This is the cell of our body. Finally, the chlamydia is entering into our body. Then they are forming a particular body which is known as reticular body or reticulate body. Finally, means a bunch of reticulate bodies are actually produced within 24 hours, and they are making this particular inclusion kind of thing. Okay, so they are making this inclusion kind of thing. Finally, after 48 hours, they are also producing another thing from them that is known as elementary body. যখন ঢুকেছিল দেখো elementary body হিসেবেই ঢুকেছিল। So elementary body হিসেবে ঢোকার পর reticulate body produce করছে, reticulate bodies গুলো একসাথে inclusion produce করছে। And finally inclusion থেকে produced হচ্ছে কি, inclusion থেকে produced হচ্ছে আবার the elementary bodies. এটা produced হচ্ছে within 48 hours. এবং ফাইনালি কি হচ্ছে দেখো, সমস্ত ইনক্লুশনস গুলো কি হচ্ছে, কনভার্টেড হয়ে যাচ্ছে ইনটু দ্য এলিমেন্টারি বডিজ, এন্ড ফাইনালি দে আর গোইং টু বি রাপচার্ড দ্য সেল এন্ড দে আর just leaving this particular elementary bodies. So this is how normally the chlamydia life cycle is going on. Fine. Now, after this, the special feature you should remember that they are having both DNA and RNA. This is the main thing. So after this, finally, we are going to the next one. And here we are having this one, that is, we are talking about the next one. Okay, so here we are having the Rickettsia. So in case of Rickettsia, they are normally gram negative, always. And they are intracellular parasite. Intracellular parasite means they are normally present, or they are normally going inside the cell, and then they are going to reproduce over there. And finally they used to, sorry, finally they used to produce the particular diseases like typhus fever and Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and they are normally non-motile in nature. So what is happening, normally horse, deers, they are the host. So now obviously within them they are having this particular endoparasite, Rickettsia. So finally they are laying the eggs are going to be hatched out, and they are forming the larvae. So these larvae are going to be transmitted inside this particular rat or birds itself. Finally, this molting means total change of this larvae to the nymph one. They are getting adult. So that is why the larvae is changing or molting into nymph inside this bird and rats. Finally, after that, the nymph is going for molt, and finally they are taking the host dog and rabbits. So after the final molting, they are making the adults. And these adults are obviously going to be transmitted into the human body, and they are forming this particular diseases. Okay, so this is how the whole thing is going on in case of the rickettsia. So finally, after rickettsia, lastly, we are having the myxobacteria. So this is the myxobacteria. They are always gram-negative. They are always cocci, and normally they used to multiply by binary fission. So these are the characteristics which are present in case of this particular myxobacteria. Okay. Okay, so this much we are having for today, because if I'm starting the protist, it also not going to be finished. So just go to the app and log into your ID, and finally going to find out the class quiz. Okay, so you have the class quiz over there. So I'm just showing you the questions and you mark it over there. And we are also going to discuss the answers. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
হ্যাঁ বাবা, আমি ভালো ভালো বাবা। হ্যাঁ, আমি ক্লাস নিচ্ছি, নিয়ে তোমরা ফোন করছো।
Ma'am, I do not attend the class quiz before. Please help me.
Oh, the first one,
Yes.
লিভিং ওয়ার্ল্ড, রাইট? লিভিং ওয়ার্ল্ড, তাই তো?
Yes.
ঠিক আছে, এখন তো লিভিং ওয়ার্ল্ডের ওটা আমার কাছে নেই। তুমি আপাতত ওই পরের কুইজটা খোলো, বায়োলজিক্যাল ক্লাসিফিকেশনের ফার্স্ট কুইজ।
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, app হচ্ছে EduTime Learning Companion, right?
হ্যাঁ, পেয়েছো?
Sorry, ma'am, this is not done by me.
না না, তোমাকে মানে তুমি তো এখনই করবে, আগে তো কি করে করবে? তুমি পেয়েছো কি ওই সেকেন্ড কুইজটা যেটা?
না ম্যাম, আপনি একটু বলে দিন, আমি এর আগে ক্লাস কুইজ ওই অ্যাপ থেকে অ্যাটেন্ড করিনি।
কোথা থেকে করেছিলে?
না, ক্লাসে ম্যাম বলে দিয়েছিলেন তো।
সে তো বলে দিয়ে আমিও তোমায় বলেই দিচ্ছি, কিন্তু তুমি অ্যাপে মার্ক করোনি। আচ্ছা, তা এডুডাইন অ্যাপে গিয়ে তোমাদের 11 এর যে ইয়েটা, মানে তোমাদের যে প্রোগ্রামের নাম, সেটা দিয়ে সার্চ করো। পাচ্ছ না?
না ম্যাম, আমি তো 12 দিয়ে লগ ইন করেছিলাম।
না না, 11 দিয়ে লগ ইন করো না, তোমার তো 12 নয়।
আমার 12।
তোমার 12?
আমি 11 এর ক্লাসটাই করছিলাম।
আচ্ছা, 11 এর ক্লাসই করছো, বাট তুমি 12 এ পড়ো, রাইট?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, আমি ফার্স্ট থেকে 11 এর ক্লাস করছি।
তাহলে তো ওটা আমাকে জিজ্ঞেস করতে হবে। ঠিক আছে ঠিক আছে, তাহলে তুমি এখন মোটামুটি একটা তোমার নোটবুকে এই ক্লাস কুইজের আনসার গুলো ইয়ে করে রাখো। তারপরে আমি তোমাকে পরের সপ্তাহে মানে পরের দিন বলে দিলে, থার্সডেতে ক্লাসে বলে দেবো যে কিভাবে লগ ইন করবে, আমি জেনে নিই। তাহলে তুমি ওখানে ওই আনসার্স গুলোকে মার্ক করে দেবে।
ওকে ম্যাম।
তো দেখো, ফার্স্ট কোয়েশ্চেন আমাদের রয়েছে, দ্য টু কিংডম ক্লাসিফিকেশন ওয়াজ গিভেন বাই। সো এর আনসার কি হবে? আমরা একটু আগেই পড়েছিলাম টু কিংডম ক্লাসিফিকেশন।
ক্যারোলাস লিনিয়াস।
হচ্ছে ফার্স্ট ওয়ান। নেক্সট হচ্ছে দেখো, চুজ দ্য কারেক্ট পেয়ার, প্যারাসাইটিক ফাঙ্গাই, স্যাপ্রোফাইটিক ফাঙ্গাই, সিম্বায়োটিক ফাঙ্গাই, অল অফ দ্য অ্যাবাভ। প্যারাসাইটিক, স্যাপ্রোফাইটিক, symbiotic, all of the above.
সিম্বায়োটিক।
না না, all of the above, right? প্যারাসাইটিক ফাঙ্গাই কি করবে? আদার প্লান্ট বা অ্যানিমালের উপর ফিড করবে। স্যাপ্রোট্রফিক বা স্যাপ্রোফাইটিক মানে কি? তারা ডেড বা ডিকেইং অর্গানিক ম্যাটারের উপর ফিড করবে। সিম্বায়োটিক মানে অবভিয়াসলি সেখানে ওই একসাথে দুটো বডি থাকবে। ইট অবভিয়াসলি ফাঙ্গাই অ্যান্ড অ্যালগে একসাথে থাকে এবং দুজন দুজনকে সাপোর্ট করে। তার এক্সাম্পল হচ্ছে মাইকোরাইজা। সো দ্য আনসার উইল বি অল অফ দ্য অ্যাবাভ। ঠিক আছে, প্রত্যেকটাই ঠিক। ওকে, নেক্সট হচ্ছে দেখো, which of the following is used in biochemical and genetic work? এটা আমাদের ওখানে ছিল না, বাট আমি বলে দিচ্ছি। নর্মালি আমরা বায়োকেমিক্যাল বা জেনেটিক ওয়ার্ক করার জন্য নিউরোস্পোরা ইউজ করি। নিউরোস্পোরা, দ্য অপশন সি। এই প্ল্যান্টটাকে নর্মালি ইউজ করা হয় ফর বায়োকেমিক্যাল এন্ড জেনেটিক ওয়ার্ক। If a scientist has two names, a similar species, he should study the holotype, syntype, mesotype, isotype. দুটো জিনিসের একই, মানে দুটো, ইন কেস অফ সিমিলার স্পিসিস কিন্তু আমরা দুটো নেম দিয়ে পড়ছি, তো সেক্ষেত্রে তাকে বলা হয় আইসোটাইপ। যেমন তোমরা কেমিস্ট্রিতে পড়ো আইসোটোপ। আইসোটোপ মানে কি? একই কেমিক্যাল ফর্মুলা কিন্তু তাদের মলিকিউলার অ্যারেঞ্জমেন্টটা আলাদা, রাইট? সো এখানেও সিমিলার স্পিসিস আমরা পড়ছি কিন্তু তার দুটো ডিফারেন্ট নেম। সেটা মেবি অবভিয়াসলি ডিউ টু সাম স্পেশাল পার্টিকুলার ফিচার, কিন্তু এই ধরনের স্পিসিসদের আমরা বলি আইসোটাইপ। ঠিক আছে, ওকে। নেক্সট হচ্ছে, which of the following is not a viral disease? দেখো, এইডস, হার্পিস, টিউবারকিউলোসিস, স্মলপক্স। এটা জানো। এর মধ্যে থেকে ব্যাকটেরিয়াল ডিজিজ কোনটা? না না, এইডস তো ভাইরাল ডিজিজ। এইচআইভি ভাইরাস এইডস কজ করে। হার্পিস, হার্পিস ভাইরাস কজ করে। স্মলপক্স ভাইরাস কজ করে। টিউবারকিউলোসিস হচ্ছে ব্যাকটেরিয়া কজ করে। সো দ্য আনসার উইল বি টিউবারকিউলোসিস। ঠিক আছে, টিউবারকিউলোসিস হচ্ছে মাইকোব্যাকটেরিয়াম টিউবারকিউলোসিস বলে একটা ব্যাকটেরিয়া কজ করে। ফাইন। আচ্ছা, নেক্সট হচ্ছে দেখো, চুজ দ্য কারেক্ট ম্যাচ, ফটোসিনথেটিক অটোট্রফ, কিমোসিনথেটিক অটোট্রফ, হেটেরোট্রফিক ব্যাকটেরিয়া, মাইকোপ্লাজমা। দেখো, চারটে অপশন রয়েছে। ফটোসিনথেটিক অটোট্রফের মধ্যে নিউট্রিয়েন্ট সাইক্লিং, কিমোসিনথেটিক অটোট্রফের মধ্যে রয়েছে নাইট্রোজেন ফিক্সেশন, হেটেরোট্রফিক ব্যাকটেরিয়া প্রোডাকশন অফ অ্যান্টিবায়োটিক, মাইকোপ্লাজমা প্রোডাকশন অফ কার্ড। আচ্ছা, মাইকোপ্লাজমা কার্ড প্রডিউস করে না। আমরা মাইকোপ্লাজমা হচ্ছে বেসিক্যালি আ ফর্ম অফ ফাঙ্গাই, আমরা পরের দিন ক্লাসে পড়বো, সো এটা বাদ। আচ্ছা, নেক্সট হচ্ছে কিমোসিনথেটিক অটোট্রফ কখনোই নাইট্রোজেন ফিক্স করে না, ঠিক আছে। ফটোসিনথেটিক অটোট্রফ নিউট্রিয়েন্ট সাইক্লিং করে না, কারণ তারা তো নিজেরাই খাবার তৈরি করে, তাহলে নিউট্রিয়েন্ট সাইক্লিং তারা করবে কি করে, ঠিক আছে। সো দ্য হেটেরোট্রফিক ব্যাকটেরিয়া, প্রোডাকশন অফ অ্যান্টিবায়োটিক, ঠিক আছে। Okay, next হচ্ছে the scientist who created the group Protista for both unicellular plant and animal is Haeckel, Pasteur, Lister, Koch. Answer হচ্ছে Haeckel. Very good. So Haeckel is the answer. ঠিক আছে। আচ্ছা, নেক্সট হচ্ছে binomial nomenclature, এটা পড়েছো আগের দিন, বলতে পারবে।
Linear.
Next হচ্ছে which of the following is an indicator of air pollution? এটাও খুব কমন কোয়েশ্চেন, জয়েন্টে আসে। ইন্ডিকেটর অফ এয়ার পলিউশন হচ্ছে লাইকেন, ঠিক আছে। তো আমরা পরের দিন লাইকেন পড়বো, তখন দেখবো। লাইকেন হচ্ছে SO2 সালফার ডাই অক্সাইড খুব ভালো করে ইন্ডিকেট করতে পারে। আচ্ছা, নেক্সট হচ্ছে the natural system of classification based on morphology, evolutionary trend, anatomy, all of the above. Natural morphology, very good. So এই অবধি, ঠিক আছে। সো এই অবধি আজকে রইলো।
ম্যাম রিপিট, ফার্স্ট কোশ্চেনটা রিপিট করুন, ওটা স্ক্রিনশট করা হয়।
ফার্স্ট কোশ্চেন দাঁড়াও দিচ্ছি।
ওকে ম্যাম।
তাহলে নেক্সট ডেতে আমরা পড়বো হচ্ছে প্রোটিস্টা থেকে অ্যানিমালিয়া অবধি, ঠিক আছে। ওকে,
থ্যাংক ইউ।